Welcome to another Watchalong. I'm your host, Kellerman, and Donald Trump held a pre-inauguration press conference at Mar-a-Lago, and I thought maybe we could watch it together. Now, I'm going to be having some spontaneous, in-the-moment reactions to the things that he says, so I just want to remind you that I do not criticize Donald Trump any more or less than any other politician. And more importantly, I have no interest in telling you what to think about the things that he says, or influencing that in any way. If you disagree with him or you disagree with me, that's totally fine. I'm just trying to get you to watch the whole thing. So settle in and spike your drink if you like, and let's get the party started.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you. Many things are happening that are exciting, very exciting for our country. And we're honored to welcome one of the most respected business leaders in the Middle East, indeed the world. He's a founder and chairman of Damac Properties, Hussain Sajwani, very respected gentleman. And I'm thrilled to announce today that Damac will be investing at least $20 billion over a very short period of time into the United States, and they may go double or even somewhat more than double that amount of money. It's a great thing, and I believe he will say that he's doing it because of the fact that he was very inspired by the election. They wouldn't do it without that election, I can tell you. A lot of people wouldn't. You saw last week where we have somebody who's going to go from $100 to $200 billion, and we have many other people, and we'll be bringing some of them out. Some of them like to do it somewhat more quietly, and some don't, and they feel so strongly about the country that they want to let people know about it. But it's an honor to have such a great investor investing in our country. The investment will support massive new data centers across the Midwest, the Sun Belt area, and also to keep America on the cutting edge of technology and artificial intelligence. He's very big into the data centers, and that's going to be a very hot item in the coming years, as you know, with
That's
AI.
true.
In
That's
particular,
true.
the first phase of the project will be
Is it a national security
in Texas,
risk to have a foreign
Arizona,
investor
Oklahoma,
involved in making our
Louisiana,
data
Ohio,
centers?
Illinois, Michigan, and Indiana.
Honest question.
Those
I
places.
don't know.
And Hussein, I'd love you to come up and say a few words. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, there he is.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's been amazing news for me and my family when he was elected in November. We've been waiting 4 years to increase our investments in U.S. to very large amount
Why?
of money. We are a company operating in more than 20 countries around the world. We have delivered more than 45,000 luxury units and another 45,000 in the pipeline. In data center, we are in 10 countries around the world, in Asia, Europe, and Middle East. And we're very, very excited now with his leadership and his open strategy and policy to encourage businesses to come to U.S. For the last 4 years, we've been waiting for this moment. And we're planning to invest $20 billion and even more than that if the opportunity in the market allows.
More than $20
But at the
billion.
moment, we're planning $20 billion in data center,
Okay.
catering for the AI and cloud business for the hyperscalers.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Mr.
Great
President.
honor. Thank you very much. So nice.
Interesting. Okay.
And that man knows what he's doing.
That could be good.
He knows.
That guy knows what he's doing. I hope so.
So, Hussein, we're going to work with you and make sure everything goes smoothly. We have powers that haven't really been used in terms of environmental. If you invest over $1 billion in the United States, we're going to give expedited reviews to everybody because everyone's afraid they're going to come in and get caught in the quagmire, which is very prevalent in the United States, unfortunately, the quagmire of environmental and various other regulations and rules. And I made it a point of telling people if you
some would
invest
call them, but
$1 billion
yes,
or
rules.
more, and we'll do this for people with far less too, but we guarantee it. We're going to move them quickly through the environmental process.
God.
Sometimes people are held up 12, 13, 14, 15 years. I saw it with plants in Louisiana where I got
To
it
comply,
approved in
I think,
literally
but-
a week. They were through the review in 1 week after spending 14 and a half years trying to get it, and they were going nowhere. It was a terrible thing. So I've been a victim of that myself over the years.
Fix some of the bureaucracy.
I think I know all the games and all the tricks that are played. And much of it is just done to stop progress. So we're going to be helping you and everybody else that comes to the United States and wants to invest
The
their money that you
objective
don't
was
get
to
tied
stop
up for the rest of your
progress?
life and you can't do anything.
Seems unlikely,
This
but maybe.
commitment further underscores that many of the greatest business leaders on earth are seeing a very bright economic future for America since the election. As you know, a lot of positive things have happened. We are inheriting a difficult situation from the outgoing administration, and they're trying everything they can to make it more difficult. Inflation is continuing to rage, and interest rates are far too high.
Way down.
And I've been disappointed to see the
Way down
Biden administration's attempt to block the reforms of the American people and that they voted for. We had a landslide election. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of people.
That's true.
Nobody
Big
even
win.
knows how many people, millions. And they're still counting in some areas. You know, they're still counting the vote in some areas. Can you believe this?
Well,
what a
making
place.
sure they got the
What
count
a
right.
horrible place. One of the things we're going to do is we've
It's
got
a
to fix
horrible place.
the election so that we get honest counts and they get done by 10 o'clock in the evening or something thereabouts. They have places where they're still counting
Okay,
votes.
I don't know how you
President Biden's
make it
actions yesterday
more
on
fair by putting a time limit
offshore
on the
drilling,
count.
banning offshore drilling, will not stand. I will reverse it immediately. It'll be done immediately. And we will drill,
Well,
baby
he tried,
drill.
I guess.
We're going to be drilling in a lot of other locations, and the energy costs are going to come way down. They'll be brought down to a very low level, and that's going to bring everything else down. That's what
Great.
caused it to go up, along with the ridiculous spending on the Green New scam. All this money, trillions of dollars. It's like throwing it right out the window, what they're doing. And they're trying
could
to
just
spend
call
so
it what
much
it
now.
is,
They're
the
just
Green
taking
New
money
Deal.
and giving it to anybody that wants it for any project
fine, you
at
don't
all.
like
if
it.
it's
You don't have
if
to
it's
do it,
certified under the
but-
Green New scam, and they don't work, and it's too expensive. And they told me that we're going to do everything possible to make this transition to the new administration very smooth. It's not smooth because they're doing that. They're playing with the courts, as you know. They've been playing with the courts for 4 years, probably got me more votes because I got the highest number of votes ever gotten by a Republican by far, actually, by a lot. And, we had a great election, so I guess it didn't work, but even to this day, they're playing with the courts. They have their friendly judges that like to
To
try
be clear, there is
make
still
everybody happy on
no
the Democrat
hard
side.
evidence
It's
that
called
the
lawfare. It's
Biden
called
administration
weaponization of justice, and it's
had
happened at a
anything to
level
do
nobody's ever seen
with his
before.
court
So many.
trials.
I defeated deranged Jack Smith. He's a deranged individual. I guess he's on his way back to The Hague. And we won those cases. Those were the biggest ones. And the press
I've never
made
met the
such
guy.
a big
Maybe
deal
he's
out of him,
deranged.
but we did
Seems
nothing wrong.
unlikely,
We did nothing
but
wrong
it's
on
possible.
anything. And the people saw that. When they vote when a Republican, it's not easy for a Republican. When the Republican wins the popular vote by millions and wins all 7 of the swing states, people said, well, he could win 4. We won all 7, and we won them by a lot. That tells you we won. That tells, and they've been watching
You
this.
can't take it away from him. He did.
Injustice.
He won.
I call it the
Won big.
Injustice Department. What they've done is so bad. The whole world has watched that. And it took work, but it got me a lot of votes because when explained, we have a judge in New York who's a very crooked judge. I'm under a gag order. I can't even talk about aspects of the case that are the most vital aspects. I'm under a gag. Do you know that I'm the president?
You're not supposed to
United
talk
States of
about
America.
important aspects
I'm a
of the case.
former, very successful president. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We had borders that were sealed and beautiful. Everything was good. We had no wars. We defeated ISIS. We had no wars. Now I'm going into a world that's
the U.S.
burning
wasn't
with Russia
involved
and
in
Ukraine,
any wars technically,
with,
but there were wars.
Israel, you took a look at that attack on October 7th, the attack on Israel, with the horrible way they got out. Not the fact that they got out. I would have been out before them, but we would have been out of Afghanistan with dignity and strength as opposed to looking like a bunch of fools with 13 dead and many, many badly, horrifically injured. Nobody ever talks about them. No arms, no legs. Nobody ever talks about them. The way they got out was outrageous, leaving billions of dollars of brand new military equipment that I bought in the hands of the Afghans and specifically the Taliban. It's the group. And we were doing very well. We would have been out. We would have been respected. I think it's one of the reasons it was so badly handled, that withdrawal, where people are jumping onto airplanes, falling off the sides of airplanes when they're 3,000 feet in the air.
I don't remember that specifically.
Nobody's
but
ever seen
sounds pretty
anything like
terrible.
that, the worst. And because
To
of
be
that, I
clear,
think Russia
part
went
of the
and
issue
attacked
was that Donald Trump
Ukraine.
did
When
not
they saw
help
that,
them
they said, these guys are incompetent.
finish
They don't
his
know what
plan
they're
that
doing.
started
But we know
during
what
his
we're doing
presidency.
now.
Because
And that's
of the
going to all
lack
end.
of
We have a
sort of
great military. I
peaceful
defeated ISIS, as you know.
transition.
We're in no wars. I just finished a couple. And we got also
defeated
our soldiers
ISIS. He made a deal with the
guarding
Taliban.
Syria and Turkey. We're in the middle. We had 5,000 soldiers. They would have been gobbled up with two armies. We had one army, 300,000. We had another one, 500,000 or 600,000, getting ready. We had 5,000 people in the middle. I said to a general, how do 5,000 people do in that case? And the general just looked at me and said, not well, sir, not well. And I took them out. And you know what happened? Nothing. I got criticized. I saved 5,000 lives, actually. And we did a great job, and we're going to do an even better job, because now we have a tremendous amount of experience. We have people that I can rely on. But the 625 million acres, people can't realize, that's like the whole ocean. Take an acre. You know, an acre, you have a house on a half an acre, on a quarter of an acre, or an acre. If you have an acre, you have a big
Wait, he lost me.
deal.
What's he talking about?
Now you multiply that by 625 million acres. It's like, feels like the whole ocean.
Oh, he's
And
talking about the
that's
drilling.
our strength, you know. People can say we manufacture, we don't manufacture. The thing we have oil and gas more than anybody in the world. We're going to have more of it, too. But they took away 625 million acres of offshore drilling. Nobody else does that. And they think they have it, but we'll put it back. I'm going to put it back on day one. I'm going to have it revoked on day one. We'll go immediately if we need to. I don't think we should have to go to the courts. But if we do have to go to the courts, you know, they try to be sneaky. They go in and they sign. Remember, this is a man that said he wants the transition to be smooth. Well, you don't do the kind of things. You don't have a judge working real hard to try and embarrass you, because I did nothing wrong. By the way, I did nothing, absolutely nothing wrong. If I did
No
something wrong,
evidence
I
to
wouldn't be
suggest that
standing
the
here right
Biden
now, because
administration
I've won all
is
these
having
cases.
the judge do that.
Nobody's ever won so many cases as I have against the Justice Department. I mean, Jack Smith had cases all over the place. People were being subpoenaed. Lives were being ruined. They were spending everything they had, money. We were helping them out. We had to. They were subpoenaing people that had no idea what they were even talking about. That's a sick group of people. And it was all to influence the election. It was all a fight against a political opponent. We've never had that in this country. We have had that in
No proof of
certain
that.
countries. We've had that in
I'm not saying it's not true. Maybe it is.
third-tier
But there's no
countries.
proof. He has
We've
no
had that
evidence to
in
point to
banana
other than
republics, but we've never
how
had
he
that
feels about it.
in a place like the United States. I don't even know if it's been on a small level. I'm sure it has been on a small level, but this was the largest level ever. They brought this moron out of The Hague. He's a mean guy. He's a mean, nasty guy. His picture was perfect, because you look at his picture, you say, that's a bad guy, with his robe, his purple robe. And he executes people. He shouldn't be allowed to execute people, because he'll execute everybody. He's a nut job. But we won all of those cases with him. And, I mean, I don't know the judge in Florida, but we had a brilliant judge in Florida that saw right through it. And we won the case.
The judge that ruled in his favor is brilliant.
Courage.
Everyone else
the left, as we call them, the radical left, they have a way, they play the ref, and they play it very hard. They play the ref. They go and say horrible things about judges and prosecutors. And some judges and prosecutors say, look, the only way I'm going to get these people off my back is to give victory to them. They're playing the ref. I think it's illegal what they do. It's almost like talking. It's worse than talking to a judge. But the judge in Florida, Judge Cannon, was brilliant and tough, and she didn't stand for it. And I don't know her. And
Kind of losing
never
the
met her
plot
until
here.
the case, and I don't believe I said even one word to her. but she was very, very strong and very, very brilliant. And her opinion was so brilliant that they dropped their appeal. They couldn't beat the appeal.
He didn't talk to her,
So
but
that's
she's
what we're
strong
up
and brilliant.
against. So they say we're going to have a smooth transition. All they do is talk. It's all talk. Everything they do is talk. We're going to have a smooth transition. And then they take 625 million acres and they essentially landmark it so you can't ever drill there again. Well, we're going to be drilling soon. We're going to be
It is
opening
to
up
protect the
Anwar.
ocean,
We're going to be
I
doing
think,
all
but-
sorts of things that.
Also, I think by smooth
nobody
transition,
ever
they
thought
just
was
meant that
even
they're not
possible.
going to
But remember when and just
stage
to
an
get off the
insurrection at the
subject, 'cause I couldn't
Capitol
believe it
while
when
they're
I heard
counting
it
up the
yesterday. I couldn't
votes.
believe the size of it. I mean, you put down a map and put
I
this
could be
up,
wrong about
it's
what they
just
meant, but-
massive. And remember that that's worth probably, I mean, I've had estimates.
I don't know if passing
40
more
to 50
legislation
trillion
before he
dollars. That's
leaves
more than our
office
national
counts
debt.
as
Essentially, he's
not
thrown it
making
away.
it a smooth
He's
transition.
thrown it away.
Anyways.
He's taken $50 trillion. So if we owe $35 trillion, he's taken $50 trillion of value and thrown it right out the window. We can't do that. Nobody can do that. One other thing he did yesterday, which was in many ways worse. It's hard to believe it can be worse. He wants all gas heaters out of your homes and apartments. He wants them to be replaced by essentially electric heaters. I don't know what it is with electric. This guy loves electric. We're going to be ending the electric car mandate quickly, by the way. This guy loves electric. And we don't have enough electricity. And then we have AI where we need more. And he wants everybody to have an electric heater instead of a gas heater. Gas heater is much less expensive. The heat is much better. It's a much better heat. As the expression goes, you don't itch. Does anybody have a heater where you go and you're scratching? And that's what they want you to have. They don't want you to have gas where you don't have the problems of the electric.
I've never heard of
And
electric heaters making
the
people itch,
source is
but
plentiful.
that's
They're
just
much
me, I guess.
cheaper to
Maybe.
operate.
I'll
They're
have to
much
look that
better.
up.
They work much better. They look much better. 60% of homes and apartments have gas heaters. He wants them all removed quickly. These people are crazy. There's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with them. They also want to go back, and they have already started that, to when you buy a faucet, no water comes out because they want to preserve. Even in areas that have so much water, you don't know what to do. It's called rain. Comes down from heaven. And they want to do no water comes out of the shower. It goes drip, drip, drip. So what happens?
What
You're in the shower 10 times
is
as
he
long.
talking about?
No water comes out of the faucet. You want to wash your hands. They want to go back to even stronger than what they have
Where
right
in the
now. As you
in the
know,
U.S.
I
are we having
ended that
problems
policy.
with water coming
you can
out of
have
the
all the water
faucet?
you want. Makes no difference. It comes weird, especially
Clean
in
water is
certain
a
areas. We have so
problem,
much
but-
water, we don't know what to do with it. But these are all things. They want very, very little water to go into your dishwasher, almost none. And you know what people do? They just keep pressing, 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 keep it going. They end up using more water. Likewise, washing machines.
We're
They
going to
want
put
in
more
your
water back in
washing
your
machine
dishwashers.
to have very little water coming out of the washing machine.
I'm
So when
sorry,
you wash
I
your
just-
clothing, you have to wash it
This
4
has
times
nothing to
instead
do
of
with
once. You end
anything
up
he has
using more
run
water.
on up until this point.
We're a party of common sense, and things that I'm telling you now is really all about common sense. On January 20th,
Is
we'll
it?
turn the economy around very quickly, because right now when I think of our economy, I think about inflation.
I hope that's true.
That's what we have.
That'd be
we
great.
have inflation, I
if you
believe,
could fix that.
at a level that we never had before. There's never been anything like it.
Well, it's
And
way
over the
down
next
from
4 years, the
2022.
United States is going
But-
to take off like a rocket ship. But really, it's already doing it. If you take a look, just last month, SoftBank announced the $200 billion. I think it'll be 200. He said between 100, and I said, how about making it 200? And he sort of said yes, but let's say it's 100, but it might be 200, right, Brian? Dollars, United States, creating more than 100,000 jobs. Hussain just announced a tremendous
Jobs are good.
investment that he's going to make, and that's money that's in the bank. He's going to come and do it, and he'll do a great job, and he'll build the best centers in the country. Again,
If they're data centers, they might be technical jobs, though.
Since my election, the stock market has set records. The S&P 500 index has broken above 6,000 points for the first time ever, never even close. In
Well,
a
it's
single
been going
month,
up for the
small
last
business optimism
forever.
soared 41 points. It's not a 41. It went up 41 points, and that's the largest
There was
in
a big
the
boost when he got voted in
39-year
on script.
history of the group that does it. According to Gallup, the American people's confidence in the economy has just surged to the highest level in history.
We're
That's
all
why I have a
hoping.
news conference like that. I take the
We're all
greatest
putting a
business
lot of
leaders
faith
in the
that he can
world. I
fix
say,
this
hey, do you want to
shit."
say you're going to invest the money? They're not looking for news conferences. They're saying, what am I doing here? They go in and they invest money. But it's good to know where the smartest business people in the world are investing, and they're investing in the United States. So we've done this all in 2 months of not being there. You know, we haven't been there. And
Right.
pretty amazing, and we think we're going to do some really
All this happened
great things.
during Joe Biden's
really
presidency.
great things. We're being respected again all over the world. The Panama Canal is a disgrace, what took place at the Panama Canal. Jimmy Carter gave it to them for $1, and they were supposed to treat us well. I thought it was a terrible thing to do. You know, it's the most expensive structure ever built in the history of our country, relatively. It would be the equivalent of substantially over $1 trillion today. We lost 38,000 people. Think of it, 38,000 people, they died from malaria, mosquitoes. They were unable to stop the mosquitoes. They paid people 5 times more to take the job. Many of those people died. We gave it away for $1.
Interesting
But
note.
the deal
the way
was
we
that,
stopped people
you
from
know,
dying
have to
from
treat us
malaria
fairly.
in the United
They don't
States.
treat us fairly. They
was with
charge more
vaccines.
for our ships than they
Just
charge
saying.
for ships of other countries. They charge more for our Navy than they charge for navies of other countries. They laugh at us because they think we're stupid, but we're not stupid anymore. So the Panama Canal is under discussion with them right now. They violated every aspect of the agreement, and they morally violated it also.
Morally violated
And
it.
they want our help because it's leaking and not in good repair. And they want us to give $3 billion to help fix it. I said, well, why don't you get the money from China? Because China's basically taken it over. China's at both ends of the Panama Canal. China's running the Panama Canal. And they come to see this Biden, this guy who should never have been allowed even to run for president. Of course, she shouldn't have either, because that never happened. It had to be 2 people, not 1. But they want $3 billion to fix the Panama Canal that's run by China and makes a lot of money, China. One of the most profitable structures ever built, because you have ships lined up back to Florida, frankly, and they just keep going through, and the numbers are staggering, $500,000 to $1 million a ship. And they took it away from us, meaning we gave it to them for $1. But not going to happen. What they've done to us, they've charged us, they've overcharged our ships, overcharged our Navy. And then when they need repair money, they come to the United States to put it up. We get nothing. Those days are over. Working with the Republican majorities in Congress, will cut taxes, slash regulations, raise wages, and boost incomes at a pace the world has not seen before, and certainly not from our country. We had a big chunk of it for the first 3 years prior to COVID coming in my administration. We had the greatest economy in history. We cut the most regulations in the history of our country, and I did that all in 4 years, by 4 times more than any other president cut. We did that in 4 years, and we were just getting started. We'll impose new tariffs so that the products on our stores will once again be stamped with those beautiful words, made in the USA.
He's talked about the tariffs before.
We are not treated well, as you know, by Canada. Canada is subsidized to the tune of about $200 billion a year, plus other things. They don't essentially have a military. They have a very small military. They rely on our military. It's all fine, but, you know, they got to pay for that. It's very unfair. I have so many great friends. One of them is the great one, Wayne Gretzky. I said, run for prime minister, you'll win in it'll take 2 seconds. But he said, well, am I going to run for prime minister or governor? You tell me. I said,
I'd vote for Wayne Gretzky.
I said, I don't know. Let's make it
I
governor.
mean, I don't know
like
his
it better.
politics, but he's a hero, right?
But no, something's going to have to be done. Same thing with Mexico. We have a massive deficit with Mexico, and we help Mexico a lot. They're essentially run by the cartels, and can't let that happen. Mexico's really in trouble, a lot of trouble. Very dangerous place. And we're going to be announcing at a future date pretty soon. We're going to change because we do most of the work there and it's ours. We're going to be changing sort of the opposite of Biden, where he's closing everything up, essentially getting rid of $50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America.
Why?
What a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate.
Is it?
And Mexico has to stop allowing millions of people to pour into our country. They can stop them. And we're going to put very serious tariffs on Mexico and Canada, because Canada, they come through Canada too. And the drugs that are coming through are at record numbers, record numbers. So we're going to make up for that by putting tariffs on Mexico and Canada, substantial tariffs. And we want to get along with everybody.
How does that stop drugs from coming in?
It takes two to tango. We're approaching the dawn of America's golden age. It's going to be a golden age for America. We have things that nobody else has. We have more natural resources. We have, number one, nobody knew that until I came along. I made us number one. We were number three. I made us number one in a very short period of time in drilling. And you know, you can talk about.
I don't think it's that they didn't know they could drill.
They're littered all over our country.
They just didn't want to.
Like dropping paper, like dropping garbage in a field, and that's what happens to them, because in a period of time they turn to garbage. Most expensive energy ever. They only work if you get subsidy. The only people that want them are the people that are getting rich off windmills, getting massive subsidies from the U.S. government. And it's the most expensive energy there is. It's many, many times more expensive than clean natural gas. So we're going to try and have a policy where no windmills are being built. You know, off the coast of New Jersey, they want to build like 200 windmills. The people are going crazy. Nobody wants them, and they're very expensive. They don't work without subsidy. You don't want energy that needs subsidy. Energy is a good business. You don't need subsidy. But when you build these massive towers, I mean, they're 25 stories tall, 40 stories. They have one 70 stories tall. The blades, they take 3 ships to ship them. It's crazy. They're dangerous. You see what's happening up in the Massachusetts area with the whales.
Windmills are big, man. It's
two
crazy.
whales wash ashore in, I think, a 17-year period. And now they had 14 this season. The windmills are driving the whales crazy, obviously. And they had actually over, I think, 125.
Windmills are driving the whales crazy?
Over a number of years. And we don't want that to happen. It's a disaster it's amazing the way a true environmentalist would say, oh, we love wind. It sounds good, but that's about where it ends. You know, after 10 years, you have to redo them. And what happens is they don't do that. They let them stand and they rust, and they say, because of the environment, I'm not a believer in this, but they say you can't, because it's a certain fiberglass, that the blades cannot be buried in earth. That's an environment. So what do you do with them? What do you do with them? And I don't know if you've ever gone to Palm Springs, California, or any of these places where you have long-term windmills standing. They're a disaster. They're rusting, rotting, closed, falling down. This is as you enter Palm Springs. And they put new ones next to them.
I don't know if the problem is as widespread as he's making it sound, but I mean, he's not totally wrong, that's for sure.
It's very expensive to take them down, and you can't do anything with them because the blades, you can't bury them because of the environmental protection. We'll look at that. Doesn't make sense, but that's what they say.
They don't biodegrade.
So we are at the beginning of a great, beautiful golden age of business. And I think we're also at a golden age of common sense, because everything I'm saying to you, from a simple water faucet that doesn't allow water to come out appropriately, to all of the other elements of what we do and what we're going to do, to take $50 to $60 trillion off our country's balance sheet because some man that has no idea what he's doing, has no idea.
Man, he's really upset about this ban on the
what they did is a
offshore
crime
drilling.
by allowing that to happen.
This whole thing has been about the drilling?
Today, how much
My
acreage
goodness.
did you submit? Essentially,
How
did
far
you
are we in
destroy? You destroyed you destroyed the economic viability of.
He's been going on for almost a full
ocean.
30 minutes
And
about drilling.
with AI coming along and all, you know, a lot of people
I didn't know we
don't
were still on
realize
that
that
topic.
AI is going to be a big thing, but you'll need double the electricity at least that we have right now. So right now we produce electricity for many, many different things. AI is a very big deal in terms of the future. China is already building electric facilities, big, bold electric facilities. And you know how they're being fired up? With coal. They're being fired up with coal. And
China has some of the worst air quality
bigger
that
and better
exists
ones.
on the planet.
People like Hussain that are doing the same thing as he is. I'll bet they don't do it as well because I know how he does it, but they're doing a lot of things. The problem is they can't get their permits because I say build the plant with the building. So with the structure, build the plant, because if you go into the grids are old. So they said, that's a great idea. In other words, build your electric facility alongside of your plant. And you could have extra output if you want, because once you build it, you can make it larger pretty inexpensively. You could have extra output, which you'll sell to the public, but build it with the plant, and people are loving that idea. So we're going to have a lot of fun making America great again, and it's going to happen, I think, very, very quickly. It's already happened. So I would say this, and this has been pretty openly reported by the news. There's never been anything like what's happened in the list since we won the election. Couple of months since we won the election, the whole perception of the whole world is different. People from other countries have called me. They said, thank you. Thank you. The perception of the whole world is different.
Well, I think the perception changes with just about every election, really, but
with Russia and Ukraine, that's a
changes.
disaster. I look at numbers every week, the number of people being killed in that war. People don't know, mostly soldiers now. But the towns have been obliterated. This was a Biden fiasco that that should have never happened. If we had a real president, if we had a president that knew what he was doing, Russia would have never, ever gone in. But they did go in, and we have a mess. The cities are all blown up. The people have largely left. And the soldiers are killing each other at levels that haven't been seen since the Second World War. So we'll have to get that one straightened out, too. That's a tough one. Much tougher than it would have been before it started, I can tell you that. A deal could have been made just by an average deal maker. Deal could have been made on that.
Hypothetical.
So thank you all for coming. We'll take a couple of questions. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
President, thank you. Wanted to touch on the world on fire that you mentioned, but let's start, if we could, with your references to Greenland and the Panama Canal, so forth. Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
And can you tell us a little bit about what your plan is? Are you going to negotiate a new treaty? Are you going to ask the Canadians to hold a vote? What is the strategy?
Yeah, I can't assure you, you're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this, we need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is vital.
He's not committing to not
country.
using
It's being
military
operated
force
by
to
China.
take the Panama Canal.
And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it. They've abused that gift. It should have never been made, by the way. Giving the Panama Canal is why Jimmy Carter lost the election, in my opinion, more so maybe than the hostages. The hostages were a big deal. But if you remember, and nobody wants to talk about the Panama Canal now because, you know, it's inappropriate, I guess, but because it's a bad part of the Carter legacy. But he was a good man. Look, he was a good man. I knew him a little bit, and he was a very fine person, but that was a big mistake. Giving the Panama Canal to Panama was a very big mistake. We lost 38,000
I
people.
wasn't reporting the news during Trump's first presidency, but I don't remember him saying anything about the Panama Canal.
Probably the most expensive, they say it was the most expensive structure, if we call it a structure, which I guess you can, ever built. And giving that away was a horrible thing. And I believe that's why Jimmy Carter lost the election, even more so than the hostages. Those two things.